I'm not stubborn. I'm right.
We're coming off the high. Someone in chat just said it, and yeah, I have to say that too. We're coming off the high of the past 2-3 streams being paced like beautifully well in comparison to the 7 that came before this. This game is the worst paced of all of the games that we've played from this writer. VLR is probably the second worst paced one. Then Somnium Files 1 is probably the third worst paced one. 999 and ZTD are possibly... Okay, I don't want to be hyperbolic. They're definitely in the top 5 in terms of pacing of the Japanese games that we've played. Like, 999 and ZTD are really well paced. Like, you can hate the story in ZTD, and sometimes I'm right there with you, don't get me wrong. But the pacing in those games is really good. You know? Like, it doesn't really waste your time. You go through it, you know? Like, pacing is really important. You know, it can make a bad game way worse. It can make a bad game come across much better, because at least it's not wasting your time. It can make a good game really great, and it can make a great game fucking like, it was okay. It was like, and that's sort of what happened here with the bullshit, you know what I mean? Like, the story part had some good parts to it. If they had cut out, like, almost, I don't know, a lot of the first 3/4 of this, and they cut down on the bullshit, I think this would have been a lot better. That would have been a good starting point. But, I don't know. Are you sure you're not just getting Stockholm Syndrome from Uchikoshi games? I don't think so. I think my thoughts are pretty sober right now. Like, there's a lot here that I don't like. And I said that, like, repeatedly throughout the whole entire process. But I was, for the most part, entertained. And I will say, I wouldn't call it Stockholm Syndrome, but I would say, like, there's a tolerance built up. If this was the first one I played, or let's say we started with... Okay, so in another timeline, let's morph over Mandela Effect style. Let's say I started with AI 1 and AI 2, and then we went back, and we just did the Zero Escape, and chat was lighting up right now going, oh my god, this is the beginning of Zero Escape, you gotta play Zero Escape, you gotta play Zero Escape. I'm like, what the fuck, Zero Escape? Okay, fine, we'll play it, fine, lock it in. And then we went over and played Zero Escape right now, having experienced the bullshit that is in this game, right? And some of the bullshit that's at the end of Somnium Files 1, maybe when we got to VLR, I would have been more conditioned to the bullshit, and I would have been like, angry, but less angry. I would be like, yeah, whatever. I didn't really have high hopes for this ending, because after 999, I had some pretty high hopes for VLR. And you can see how that transitioned into me going into ZTD. I went to ZTD like rock bottom. Like I don't give a shit. I'm just looking for some crazy time. I hope it's like the more bullshit, the better. And I loved ZTD because of that. And I love Carlos. ZTD was wacky, off the wall. In fact, I wish it had been a bit more crazy. You know what I mean? Like, so maybe in another timeline that would have happened like this, right? So we're playing this as the last game, and I kind of been like, you know, phasers set for bullshit, right? So, you know, yeah, it's pretty bad, and it doesn't play fair. But at the same time, like, I really like plot twists. I can see where the writer is coming from here. I can see that the writer is like, I like plot twists. I like them so much that I don't really mind it when a writer doesn't play fair. So I'm not going to play fair either, because I just want to give that mindfuck, that whoa moment. And now that it's kind of like Dark Souls getting hard. I had to bring it back to Dark Souls. It's kind of like Dark Souls, like having this struggle of maintaining its level of difficulty while also being fair. It's the same thing when it comes to like Uchikoshi's stories. Is that like you're expecting so much shit now that if it played fair, then you would be like, I see it coming. You know what I mean? So I can kind of respect it a little bit, but I feel like that's just... I think if you tried hard enough, you could fix it with better writing and better presentation. I'm not talking about the visuals. I'm talking about the way that the story is presenting information and moving from scene to scene. I think that you could have cleaned this up. I also, as someone who constructs a lot of stories, I am struck very strongly by the idea that he thought of the twists first, with the timeline moving with the X's, and with the Mizuki BB thing, and with the Ryuki thing. and then he wrote the mystery around the twists, because who gives a fuck about the mystery, really? Like, really, who gives a shit? Like, that was like the biggest nothing of the whole entire story, and usually that is the main focus here, I think, or the main attraction of these games that we've played. And this time it wasn't, and so I think the twists are the point. Oh, VLR is kind of like that too, actually. Maybe this is just middle game syndrome from Uchikoshi. Maybe this will get a third one, and it'll be the ZTD of Al Somnium Files. And if he plays Date, I would love that. I don't know. Do you think this game is better than Life is Strange 2? Oh, absolutely, it's not even close. This was boring at points for long stretches, actually, and it really needed to, you know, pick it up and cut down on all the NPC interactions and shit. But, you know, it moved better than Life is Strange 2, even during those sections. Life is Strange 2 was miserable. Getting back to Nirvana Initiative, who's your favorite characters overall, and what did you think about the new characters? The new characters were kind of a whole load of nothing. I thought Kizzy was going to have a much bigger role. I thought the Lean and Kizzy thing was going to have more payoff, and it didn't. I don't really understand why they're there, other than to just fill out the crew and just not to have it be Oda and Iris again, which I guess I appreciate. I liked Mizuki still. It felt like Mizuki. It didn't feel like they changed Mizuki too much. It really did feel like Mizuki, but I also think that the fear I had was confirmed, that I don't think Mizuki can carry a game.